those. So you just learned a little bit about the elements of plot, and we've discussed each one. We're going to discuss them a little bit more, and then we're going to read one of my favorite books, Randy Riley's Really Big Hit, and then we're going to see if we can find these different pieces and elements of plot throughout the book. So again, first one, exposition. Exposition is where we get to learn about the characters, the setting, and the main problem. Not a ton of action going on here yet, but it kind of is setting the base for the story. Then the rising action is everything that starts to build up. The problem maybe gets bigger, they run into some other issues, some problems, they try some things, it doesn't work. Finally, the climax is the big moment at the top. This is the turning point. This is where the character and the problem kind of meet, and we find out exactly what happens. Do they conquer their problem? Do they fix their problem? Or does it lead to more problems? The falling action is where loose ends start to get tied up. We start to get some answers, understand why things happen the way that they did, and then finally the resolution. And the resolution is just, here's the end of your story, here's how we're going to stop. They lived happily ever after kind of moment. So we're going to read through Randy Riley's Really Big Hit and see if we can find these different pieces. And yes, I'll be calling on you to see who can find the answers to these different parts. So I'll read a couple of pages, then we'll stop and see if there's something that we can fill in. So Randy Riley's Really Big Hit. Try to do my best. This is new for me too. So Randy Riley stood at bat. He gazed out at the mound. His knees began to tremble and his heart began to pound. Then Randy started thinking about the pitcher's throw. He wondered without gravity how far the ball would go. And as he stood there pondering, strike 3 went whizzing by. "You're out," he heard the umpire call, then walked off with a sigh. I'm thinking, is there anything from this part of the book that could fit into our plot diagram? Ooh, Sky, I see you raising your hand. What do you think could fit in here? Sky, perfect. Absolutely. Yeah, we learned one of the characters. One of the characters is Randy. So I'm going to add Randy. He's a character. Yeah, Mason, you have your hand up too. Mason, what else? Yeah, he struggles with baseball, right? So baseball equals struggle. So that might be the problem that we get into. Let's keep reading and see. See, Randy was a genius. He just couldn't hit the ball. He struck out every time at bat. He wasn't good at all. But something beyond baseball brought a smile to Randy's face. What Randy Riley really loved was stuff from outer space. He studied all the planets. He memorized their tilt. He researched how the thrusters on the rocket ships were built. He knew the constellations and the light years to the stars, and wouldn't it be great, he thought, to ride a bike on Mars? So this is kind of confirming we were right about baseball being a problem, right? But I feel like there's something else that comes into play a little bit here. What else might go in the exposition? Something new that maybe we've learned about the character that might show up? Yeah, Will, what do you think? Perfect, yeah, he loves outer space. I'm going to put a little heart. So we know baseball isn't really his thing, but he loves outer space. So that's definitely going to come into play. So the next thing that we're going to look for is rising action, something that's going to keep going towards our problem. We know baseball is a struggle, so let's see what else is happening. I guess I could put a bookmark in here so I don't have to keep going trying to find the page, huh? There we go. I'm hoping you guys can see the pictures okay. I know there's a little bit of a glare. When Randy Riley got back home, he went up to his room. He knew he stunk at baseball, and it filled his heart with gloom. So he took his favorite robots from the shelf above his bed and staged a game of baseball with the robot team instead. That night before he went to sleep, Randy scanned the sky, and through his Spaceboy telescope, a glimmer caught his eye. He fiddled with the focus till he saw it crystal clear. It was a massive fireball, and it was coming near. Alarmed, he started plotting the projection of its path. He formulated diagrams. He double-checked the math. He calculated quickly and concluded with a frown. In 19 days, the fireball would crash into town. I don't know about you guys, but this seems like probably pretty important stuff. So obviously we know he struggles with baseball, but there sounds like there's another problem going on here too. What do we think might be the other problem? Stella, what do you think? Yeah, there's a meteor or an asteroid coming, right? Let's double check. Does it say? a massive fireball, so we don't know. So massive fireball coming. That's probably going to be part of the rising action, right? Massive fireball. That's an issue. But we also know that he loves outer space. I mean, he projected and said that it was going to be 19 days before it got here, so maybe in my head I'm thinking, there might be something that he can do about this. So let's see. Randy Riley flew downstairs to warn his mom and dad the impact would be major and the damage would be bad. He explained the situation until his face was red, but they told him he was tired and they sent him off to bed. So Randy's kind of freaking out about this a little bit, but part of, I think, the rising action, you know what, I don't want to say it because you guys might have thought of it too. So let's see, is there anybody that can think of what else I might want to add to the rising action? Yeah, Kaden. Yeah, that his parents don't believe him. So parents don't believe. All right, let's keep going. See what else happens. Poor Randy couldn't sleep at all. He thought this the whole night through. By morning, it was obvious just what he had to do. He gathered what he needed with determined resolution and lugged it off behind the shed to work on his solution. So we know he's doing something. We're just not positive what yet. So I want to wait, I think, until we decide exactly what he's going to do. Randy toiled for 18 days while other kids had fun, but he was on a mission, so he worked till it was done. At breakfast on the 19th day, the news announcer said, "There's a special bulletin, emergency, code red. A fireball is approaching. It just flew past the moon. It's coming fast, so be prepared for it to hit by noon." I love this picture, first off. I love, if I can get it in the frame. I just love the look on his parents' face, and then Randy's just kind of like, yep, already knew this, told you guys a long time ago, right? But I do think that there's probably something in here that we want to add to our rising action. So first off, nobody believed him. Fireball's actually coming, right? Randy's got a plan. We just still don't know what it is yet. So let's keep looking and see if we can figure out what it is. We know we're getting closer to the climax, right? Because it even said it's going to hit by noon. So what do you think the climax might be? You know what? Don't tell me yet. Let's keep reading. Everybody burst outside as fear and panic grew, but Randy ran back to the shed. He had a job to do. He grabbed the tarp and gave a tug and slid it off to reveal the mighty mammoth robot he'd welded out of steel. The robot needed power, and Randy knew precisely that 97 batteries would energize it nicely. The eyes lit up. The engine whirled. Step 1 was now complete. So far, so good, thought Randy. Then he thundered down the street. So what do we definitely want to add to the rising action? What's the new information that we've got? No, I'll keep waiting, guys. Whenever we're done talking, I'm just kidding. It's actually been really quiet in here today. It's kind of crazy. No, but what do you guys think? What do we need to add to the rising action? Yeah, what do you think, Wyatt? Yeah, Randy's built this big robot. So we know that's part of his plan, is this big robot. We just don't know exactly what he's going to do with it. Or maybe you do know what he's going to do with it, but we'll find out. We'll keep reading. Step 2 of Randy's mission took place just south of town in the section known as Millville, where he slowed the robot down. The robot ripped a smokestack off an old abandoned mill, then Randy turned the throttle knob to march it up the hill. Do you guys think you know what's going on? I don't know. Let's keep reading. Back in town, the people were frightened as could be, but Randy knew the time had come for critical step 3. The robot burst out through the trees and stepped up and took stance, while everyone fell silent as if frozen in a trance. Randy's eye was on the ball. No room for error now. 3, 2, 1, and flip a switch. A swoosh, and then Okay, this feels like the climax of the story. This feels like the big moment. What is happening? What's the big moment? I'll show you the picture again. Maybe. What is getting ready to happen? What's the big moment in this story? Quentin, what do you think? Yeah, he's built this robot to knock the fireball out like a baseball, right? So, robot goes to bat against the fireball. Ooh. Do we have faith? Do we have faith in Randy that he's going to be able to do this? I mean, he doesn't have a very good track record. We're hoping, right? Let's see. Kapow. A blinding flash, a booming crash. He knew what he had done. Randy Riley had hit his very first home run. Good for Randy. The fireball sailed out of sight. A rousing cheer began. Hooray for Randy Riley and his giant metal man. And as the crowd went crazy, Randy stood there with a grin and mumbled, how predictable, a fastball low and in. So I feel like there's some falling action here. We've kind of gotten to the big point of the story. What's going to happen from here? What maybe might we add in that falling action part? What do you think? Kylan, what do you think? Yeah, that everybody in the town is excited. The town is cheering. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, and that Randy actually hit the ball. And I'm going to put the ball in quotes because we're not talking about just a baseball here, right? Okay, let's keep seeing what's happening in the falling action. The resolution, we're almost there where it kind of ties everything up. Everything ends. We'll see. We'll know when we get there. When things returned to normal after Randy saved the day, he went back to the baseball field to join his friends to play. And though he swings in earnest, he rarely hits the ball. But that's okay because Randy's had the biggest hit of all. So I feel like our resolution is, 1, he's still not great at baseball. But there's something that they don't talk about in here that I feel like probably changed in Randy's life from when he first started playing baseball with these kids till the end. What do you think maybe has changed? This is just, we're kind of guessing. We're assuming, we're deciding how we feel about it. It's not information that they give us in the book, but we're just kind of guessing a little bit. How do you think maybe the kids feel about Randy as opposed to how they did at the beginning of the story? What do you think? Take a minute. Maybe even talk with the person next to you. Think about how might they see him differently or what might change with Riley joining the baseball game. So take just a minute. Okay, come on back to me. What do we think may have changed? Emily, you've got your hand up. Great. Yeah, I agree. I think even though he's still not great at baseball, I think the kids are probably more accepting of him than they were before. They probably see him as almost kind of this superhero, right? So kids more accepting. Great. So we've got all of our plot mountain filled in, right? Let's kind of review this a little bit. So we start off, we meet Randy. We know he loves outer space, but he really struggles with baseball. And then part of the rising action is parents don't believe him when he sees this massive fireball. He builds this crazy robot. He's got this plan. And then it all leads up to the point where the robot actually is playing baseball. And he goes to bat against the fireball. And it's great because he actually hits the ball for the first time. They say he gets his first home run. The town is cheering. Everybody's happy. And then we tie it all up with he's still not great at baseball, but he's okay with it because he feels like he's had the best hit out of anybody. Nobody can really touch that at that point. So what you guys are going to do next is you're going to do a little activity where you're going to read a short story and you're going to try to fill this in. We'll probably do 2 examples of those just to make sure that we've got it. And then tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a video where you guys are going to do your own plot mountain and see if you can plot if you can put the information in about the plot about the video without my help. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. So today is just for practice. Tomorrow we'll be putting that practice to good use and actually trying it out. So tomorrow is when I'll take a grade on Plot Mountain. So do a nice job. Make sure that you're taking your time, reading the story carefully, reading the questions carefully, and I will see you back at Plot Mountain tomorrow.